It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Brian, this next question is from Carlos. This is on YouTube. It says, hey, we're saving for a backyard to do within the next 14 months. I want to invest the money because of inflation. My spouse doesn't. Who wins the argument? Why are you guys using us as a mechanism to solve arguments between you and your spouse? This is like the Money Guy marriage counseling.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because I've gotten to an age where 14 months seems like you'll be here tomorrow.
I mean, you're going to blink and that's going to happen.
So this is a project. Sounds like you as a household have come up with, we definitely need to do this landscaping project. 14 months, you can probably tell where we're leaning. I think anything that you need the money, 24, 36 months, it doesn't really need to be invested. It's more of a high yield type savings account, where it's a cash equivalent, because it's just too much volatility. I've seen people say, I'm going to just put my emergency reserves in bonds. And you're like, well, what could go wrong with bonds? Realize bonds have interest rate risk.
That's right.
I mean, what happens if all of a sudden the Federal Reserve decided instead of artificially keeping interest rates at zero or close to zero, what if they started going up? Anybody who owns existing bonds or holdings, I'm not going to say it's there's going to be an impact on the value of that bond, because bonds derive their value from two components. It's the interest that they pay, but also just the underlying value, which could be discounted, or you could receive a premium depending upon what that stated interest rate is. So that should come into play. And it's just, even bonds that are perceived as super safe can have risk, a limited amount of risk that could bother you if you have this landscaping project. And imagine to your loved one that you had this brilliant idea that you're going to go buy bonds. And, even if that's what you're considering investing, and then you come back later and find out that it was worth 5 to 10% less.
You'd be sick.
You'd be pretty upset. So I know cash is unfortunately not paying hardly anything, because interest rates are artificially held low by our government and the Federal Reserve and the central bankers. But it is one of those things where the money will at least be there 14 months in the future when you need to fund that project. So don't let, your fear of missing out on high returns cause you to lose out on being able to fund those key goals. And here's the kind of a closing point I always also like to say about cash. Cash is also a great opportunity funder, in the fact that a lot of people, I think a lot of my wealth creation, in addition to doing the automatic wealth creation of saving 25% of my gross income, some of my key opportunities have been when I've had cash to capitalize on when nobody else has cash.
Yep.
And so that's another reason why I think cash is such a valuable resource. I know we hear cash is trash, but cash is also a very valuable resource, not only for funding your objectives and goals like you have, but also for those who are reaching the abundant stage of you even are paying down your mortgages and other things faster. You still might want to have some extra cash for buying into opportunities when nobody else has the ability to fund it.
If you're worried about inflation, because that's what you said your concern was, I think a better strategy would be to oversave for the project. If you think the project might cost you X dollars, save X dollars plus 10%, and you're likely going to offset any inflationary increase in the cost of the project. I think it'd be better doing that than trying to invest those dollars.